we are going to look at first wire wrapping versus wire weaving. Now the way I understand it is when you wire wrap something, it's like when we create a closed loop. We wrap the wire around itself. We are closing it together. Except however, when we weave, we're connecting multiple wires and we're creating a pattern. I think also wire wrapping is usually a thicker gauge, wire weaving is usually the thinner. That's just my understanding of it. It could be wrong, but that's what I've glimpsed from my years of using wire. I would always suggest, I'm talking about UK gauges here, a difference of at least 4 points. If I am going to wrap with a 0.4 weaving wire, I want to go, in the beginning I'd go at a 1mm, but after that and 0.8. I want a difference between my gauges. I would never wrap a 0.6 with a 0.4, for example. The reason for this is because the thickness of the wires are too similar, which means that the strength of the wires are too close. Therefore, if I was going to use a 0.4 on a 0.6, it would distort the wire, and if I was trying to keep it straight, it would keep moving it. So you don't want the gauges of the wire too close together. That's very important. And again, especially when you're new, it's even more tricky to use that wire. And I wouldn't even start with a 0.4, especially if you have dexterity. I started with a 0.25, and my preferred, even now after I've been doing it all this time, my preferred gauge is 0.315 millimeters for weaving, and I buy that from a company called wires.co.uk. Again, try it out. You might find you're perfect with 0.4, you don't have any issues, and you can go brilliant. Obviously the thicker it is, the quicker it takes up on the wire, so it won't take you as long to weave, so that's another thing to consider. But just give it a try, see how you find it, and again, if you feel that the resistance is too much for you, just drop down another gauge on the weaving wire and go up another gauge on your base wire. So now I'm going to teach you anchoring to the wire. Before you actually start making whatever you're going to be doing, you have to attach it to your first wire. Doesn't matter if you're going to use 2 wires, as we're going to do, or you're going to use 10. It has to be anchored to the first wire. So I've just got a long piece here. This is the 1mm I have demonstrated with previously. Just going to make sure that we've got a nice clear picture for you. There we have it. And then I've got the 0.315. So first things first is you just want to attach it, make sure you set up comfortably. I want to attach it to this wire. So I would literally just do a few coils around the wire to ensure that it isn't going to go anywhere. So there you can see that it's attached to that wire. I would probably move them closer together. These aren't part of your wrapping. You will probably, I always cut this bit off because it's not important to what I'm going to be making. I just need it there before I start.